Hi, Sweaty Jen back again. Today's video is really exciting because we have a hyperhidrosis friend with us today. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. Jen, thank you so much for having me. My name is Correll, and I'm the maker of Office Undershirt.
Yeah, so me and Correll met on Reddit. We were chatting and he was telling me about the undershirt he makes, and he actually sent one to me. I'm wearing it right now. And I thought this would be a really fun video to make because I've never done anything like this. I've actually never even like talked one-on-one to somebody who's like, yeah, I have hyperhidrosis. So thank you for being a guest here today. It's really exciting.
No, it's my pleasure, and I just think what you're doing is fantastic. Like we were talking about when we were messaging, how can we help people see more faces of hyperhidrosis? I think a lot of us feel very isolated. We feel like we can't really relate to a lot of people, or people can't relate to us. So I think just creating some additional awareness and having open conversation and dialogue about it is great. That's why I love that hyperhidrosis subreddit. It's awesome because it's like, oh, here are 11,000 people that this is a real problem for. So again,
I,
thank you so much for having me.
yeah, no problem. Thank you. And I agree completely. It's so good to converse with people who are struggling with the same issue. And I love the subreddit too. Like, if you're struggling, you go on that subreddit and it's like 100 people online, and it's just like nice. All right. So, first and foremost, like Corel said, he is the maker of Office Undershirt. And so I wanted to ask him a little bit about his struggle with hyperhidrosis and also about the undershirt and the company in general. So the first question that I had for you was, how old were you when you noticed that you had hyperhidrosis?
So, I've thought about this a lot, and for me, there are two main like memories that really stand out to me. There's one when I was going on a walk with my family around our neighborhood, and my sister goes, "Corell, what are you doing?" I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You're tucking your shirt into your arms like this. Why are you doing that?" I'm like, I don't know, it just feels good. Like it makes me feel better. And that's really, I think, the first time I realized that there was something maybe a little unique or different in that area. But that's when I was like 6, so I don't think I hadn't gone through puberty yet, and I think that was the first time I noticed that that region of my body maybe behaved a little bit differently. And then when I was 13, and that we all start going through that metamorphosis, I realized that I was a lot more sweaty than my peers around me. And oftentimes, like, there would be comments made like, "Man, you're sweating through your shirt. What's going on? Is it really hot outside, or what's wrong with you? Are you nervous?" Um, so those are really the two moments that stand out most to me.
Yeah, yeah, and I know for a fact that I and probably a lot of other people completely relate to like around those adolescent years when we go through our metamorphosis. I know for a fact that I started to notice too, especially with my armpits. I was like, what the heck? Why am I the only one who's like got these giant pit stains? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what I
I do
mean.
know I do know what you mean.
You know. And then I wanted to ask too, so when you were like 6, 13 years old, did you like kind of seek help like by telling your family or anything like that?
No, I really didn't. That didn't really cross my mind. It's just something that I always wore an undershirt. And from that early age, I was always working. A lot of times I was working outside, which was really sweaty. When I started working in restaurants, I would take an extra undershirt with me. About halfway through my shift, I would go and change, and I would put something else on. I did get lucky. Sometimes our uniforms were very dark, so that was kind of a blessing in disguise. But the idea of going to someone and getting help really didn't cross my mind. It wasn't until I'd already graduated. I'm a biomedical engineer, so this concept of really thinking about how materials and our body work together, that's specifically what my degree was focused on, is how do we design engineered materials that have some significant impact either internally in our body, like sutures, how do they dissolve, or materials that perform some function. And it wasn't until I'd gone through that program and I was working a job where I was sweating. I was wearing a suit every day and I was sweating through my clothes every day. And I was kind of beating my head against the wall thinking, like, there's got to be a solution for this. And that's when I discovered there actually are some shirts designed for people with hyperhidrosis online. Um,
Mhm.
I wasn't at all satisfied with the quality or the price point of those shirts. And I thought it would be a really good experience to just say, hey, let me apply my education and my passion for this. I can scratch my own itch and just have some fun designing a product that can hopefully help people for this. I wish I'd known about this when I was much, much, much younger.
Hyperhidrosis in general.
That it was a thing, yeah. I didn't really realize it was even a thing until I was in my late 20s. I'm in my early 30s now. And that there are actually people that are designing products for people like us to try to help them have a better lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah, and I can see that for sure. I agree completely. I didn't even know that I was different either. Like I knew I was different, but I didn't know like there was a name for it or that other people understood.
So the last stat I saw, there are 25 million people in the U.S. that consider hyperhidrosis a significant impacting problem on their life. That's a
Yeah.
huge number.
So I did want to touch also, I've seen the other shirts that are being sold too, and I was kind of curious to try them, but I looked and I was like, no, these like don't look like something I'm gonna get any use out of. But then when you contacted me, I checked out your website and I actually was like, wow, this shirt looks really good. And I was like, maybe I should give these another try. These, kind of shirts that help prevent the pit stains and odors. And so you reaching out to me was like, I kind of was against the shirts, but then as soon as you talked to me about your shirt, I was like, oh, here's one that I'd actually be willing to try. And then you were so kind to send me one. And I agree with you about the material. It's really good for me as somebody with hyperhidrosis. It's helped me tremendously. Even as I wear it now, like kind of nervous doing this video interview. I'm like sweating a little bit and it's like working. So two thumbs up
Thank you,
on that
Jen.
note, of course. And before we talk more about kind of like the process that you went through in terms of creating your product that's out right now and your business in general, I wanted to ask you what part of having hyperhidrosis has been the hardest for you in your life and why?
Yeah, no, good question. Um, that feeling of I think for me it's been um, that internal monologue that says I can do something or I can't do something because my body is going to react a certain way. I can be in a situation or I can't be in a situation, or I have some internal reservation about being in a situation because I'm concerned about my appearance or the way I'll be perceived. And that's it just kind of sucks because you feel limited and then you feel frustrated and you feel kind of like impotent in the sense that you don't really have a way out of it. So there are a lot of times where I would want to go, whether it be on a date or to a social function. Those are the two main things for me that I would think, no, I just got off work. I'm to me the self-talk would be I look and feel disgusting. I don't want to be around anyone, and that kind of drives me along. I'll just go home. I'll just go home and I'll take a shower, and then now it's late, and I'll just miss whatever that opportunity was. And so that it's situations like that that really stand out to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can see why that's hard, and I relate 100% to that too. I've been there even now. I still go to that place sometimes, and I just like want to be left alone with my sweat and have nobody see me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think the point you made about saying how it's like we have no control over it. It's so true because it's like we want to do all these things. We want to live like any normal person would live, but then we have to worry about being like a sweaty mess the entire time. So,
Yeah.
but hey, it's comforting because like we know there's other people who are totally relating and get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and it's one of those social norms. It's it's all a construct of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Um, and and I get stuck in that place too, where I think, well, why isn't this just okay? But then it gets overridden for me internally, and I know like, well, no, this is going to be very uncomfortable for me. Actually, I would feel worse. I have to follow this dumb social norm, and act accordingly.
Hmm.
Or in this case, find a tool. Again, the engineer is speaking in my head. Like, you need a tool. How can you fix this? What do you do? I, I think it's overall. It's turned into a motivator. I've kind of turned that corner where now it's kind of like a tailwind pushing me forward. It helps me find solutions, and my whole mentality has kind of changed about it. Which I think the same is true for you with what you're doing with these videos. Like, you've actually turned it around, and now it's something that motivates and encourages you, which I think is really good. I think that's a great transition to go through, because now we can kind of look back and say, wow, we've come a long way, and you want to share that with other people.
Yeah, yeah, it has been for me too. Like, I think in one of my videos, I said, like, I felt like this was my worst flaw, and now it's like a really big benefit in my life because, like, what am I gonna I'm just some random person from Chicago. I don't have anything interesting, but my hyperhidrosis is pretty interesting. And I want my subscribers and my viewers to know too, like, just because like if you have hyperhidrosis, like if you're not doing something like making a video about hyperhidrosis or making products for hyperhidrosis, it doesn't mean you should stay in this like dark headspace that you're really you're like feeling so uncomfortable all the time. Try to find ways to incorporate the positive thoughts and how hyperhidrosis has benefited you just in everyday situations. Because I know for me, just doing something positive to talk about hyperhidrosis, it makes like just everyday socialization a bit easier because I know there's people who are like accepting of me anyway, like regardless of the people in real life, what they think of me.
Yeah, and I don't know if I don't know if the same is true for you, um, but I've seen this on the subreddit, and I've experienced this as well. When I've kind of changed my response to people. Like, let's say I'm not wearing an undershirt, I'm out, and someone makes a comment, says like, "Oh man, you're like must be really hot," or they say, whatever it is that they say that says like, "Yes, yes, in fact, I am sweating through my shirt profusely," like whatever it is that they say to point that out to me, like, "Oh, I didn't know that, my bad." My response has changed now. Now I say, "Oh, have you ever heard of hyperhidrosis?" And
Yeah.
now what I'm finding is about 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5 people go, "Oh, actually, my friend has that," or that's been an issue for me too. So I feel like there's this general trend of people being a little bit more aware, and that's because there are a lot now. There are people like UGen. There's International Sweat Society at sweathelp.org.
Yeah.
There's like there are more people that are at least kind of making society a little bit more aware that, hey, this is a thing. Increase your consciousness and your awareness. Um, you know, understand what it is, and I think that makes it so much easier to have that conversation when they go, "Oh yeah, my buddy suffers from that. That's something that's really been a struggle for him." The fact that they're aware of it, it makes the conversation so easy. So I would say one of the things that maybe we can encourage people to do is when they're responding to that, put themselves in a social situation. If a comment's made or they want to be proactive about initiating the conversation, just ask, "Hey, have you heard of hyperhidrosis? Have you ever heard of that?" And they say no. You can say, "Let me tell you, 30 seconds. Let me tell you about it. It affects 25 million people in the U.S., affects people globally." And give them a little bit of education on it so that the conversation can be easier. And I think if we all do that, it'll really draw a lot of awareness to it.
I think so too, and I love that you are so like open to just say like, yeah, I have hyperhidrosis, and I have. I personally, I'm like, sometimes I'll say it, sometimes I won't say it. I'm a little bit probably more shy in real life than I am on the camera. So it depends who is commenting it to me too. I'm sure for
Totally.
you as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think the concept is generally like it's kind of refreshing and a little bit surprising that if we own it, if we assume people are, assume the best in people, they're not trying to be malicious, they're not trying to be hurtful, they just might be a little bit unaware.
Hmm.
So I always just like to ask the question: Have you heard of this? Do you know what this is? And a lot of times they go, "Oh yeah," or sometimes they go, "Oh no, tell me."
Yeah.
Um, and when I come from that place, it seems like it works out better for me. I don't get as hurt because I'm not, I'm kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt. They're coming from a good place, and then they give me the chance to educate them a little bit, and then maybe down the road when they have that conversation, they might ask, "Hey, do you have hyperhidrosis?" If they want to make a comment, maybe they'll be a little bit more informed.
I think so. And I think it's super important to bring more awareness to hyperhidrosis, like you're doing too, because the more awareness that we can bring to our condition, it's not only more acceptance from people as a whole, but also it's more awareness from people who can actually like make medications, people who are researching the impact of the disease on the rest of our body. Like the more we talk about it and like shove it into people's faces, the more they're forced to think about it. Like it's kind of funny because when you're talking to people or when I'm saying I have hyperhidrosis and they go, "Oh, my brother has that," or "My cousin," I bet people ask like people around us, they'll say like, "Oh, I have hyperhidrosis," and the people around us are like, "Oh yeah, Correll or Jen has
My buddy
hyperhidrosis."
makes T-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny we're like that person that people know that has hyperhidrosis.
The faces of hyperhidrosis, and I think there are a lot of people out there that are.
Hmm.
It's funny as we start peeling back the layers. There's a lot there.
Yeah, there is. And the next question for you is, what inspired you to create Office Undershirt to help our hyperhidrosis community?
It comes from a lot of different places. There's the one part where, like I mentioned earlier, being a biomedical engineer, your outlook is very much oriented to how can I create, novel products using novel materials to help solve a specific problem. So there's like that underlying baseline mentality that I have just through my education and through some of the things I'm passionate about. But I was actually a few years ago, I was down in Austin, Texas with some really close friends of mine that they've had a lot of success launching different products. And I was just in that mindset where I was kind of open to, wow, it'd be really fun to create a product. I've started some other companies in the telemedicine space and in a couple other startup spaces. But I just thought, oh, wow, it'd be really fun to go through the product of making or the experience of making a product. Um, and as I was looking around, a lot of what you see is I can say that I didn't really respect a lot of what I was seeing in the product entrepreneurial space because it really seemed like it was very heavily geared towards profit, which is fine. No mission, no margin, or no margin, no mission is like a common adage that if you're not making money, you don't really get to have an impact because you can't scale whatever that is. So I get that your business has to be financially viable, but for me, since I have a day job, I wasn't really looking for this to be my primary source of income. So it was really easy for me to kind of flip my thinking to, well, if I'm going to make a product and I want to go through that experience, I really want to make a product that I care deeply about. And over that next year, as I was kind of exploring, like how would I want to do this? And again, it wasn't something I was, dumping tons and tons of time and effort into. It was just kind of in the back of my head. But one day, it literally just a switch flipped, and I thought, this is a problem for me. Why haven't I fixed this yet? I'm a darn biomedical engineer. I understand the biology that's going on with me. I understand some of the supercolloidals and the other highly absorbent materials. why don't I just merge all this together into something that I would want to use? So over the next year, I went through kind of the very early stages of just, literally just making what would be the internal patch under the arm and like taping that with duct tape to my arm and walking around to it all day. Like, okay, does this work? Does it not work? And, it went through that whole cycle of getting better and better and better and better and better. Once I was satisfied with the material that goes directly under the arm and kind of around that area, once I was satisfied with that, the next step was, what do I make the shell and the actual body of the shirt out of? So it was about a 2.5 year design cycle from, picking out the materials, really going through testing, but it was something I was doing on nights and weekends.
Mhm.
And I actually ended up testing out the version that you're wearing. I'm wearing it as well. Anytime I'm wearing a dress shirt, I wear it just by default, but I'm lucky because I've got a stack of them. I wore it for about a year. In fact, I've got the original shirt that I started testing with that I was really happy with. I still wear it. It still works. It's a little like discolored because it's quite old now.
Yeah.
But I wore that probably for a good year before I even went and tried to launch it because I wanted to be super confident that it was going to be durable, that it actually worked. And if I was going to go out there with a product that's like kind of this personal, like I really wanted it to be something that I was proud of. And
Yeah.
I actually am quite proud of it now. So it felt really good to try to take it to market.
Well, all of your hard work testing it for that year and working on it for 2.5 years definitely paid off. I think it's really nice. I was actually thinking like, oh, I wish he had another version of this shirt that was like a long sleeve, like a ribbed knitted material for the main part. And I was just thinking like I want like all different types of styles of this shirt so that I can wear it like all day every day.
Oh, that's really cool. That's good feedback.
Is it gonna like irritate my armpit? Because I have really sensitive armpits. And like sometimes I'll wear a short sleeve shirt and my armpit starts hurting. I don't know why. So
Hmm.
I was worried, but then I got your shirt and I tried it on and it's honest to God more comfortable on my armpit than like normal shirt.
Oh, that's really interesting.
It's so soft, like you can't tell that there's something there at all. It feels like completely seamless. So I really like this shirt. And I'm not just saying it because like I'm talking to you. I tell people about your shirt actually.
Oh,
I
thank you.
just told I just told my older brother about your shirt. He watches my videos, so hi Brad, if you see this. He denies that he has any touch of hyperhidrosis, but like he's kind of a more sweaty person for sure, especially from like one armpit. Like and I was telling him about this shirt and he was like, "Wow, it sounds like it was made for people like me."
Yep.
So I wanted to ask you, like, is this shirt just for hyperhidrosis people, or could anybody wear this shirt really?
I'll answer. Let me make one comment on the feel, if you don't mind.
Sure.
First, before the who's it made for. People ask me a lot, like, how's it gonna feel when I wear it? And actually, what you just said is interesting. I haven't heard that feedback before, that it feels better than something else. In fact, what I usually tell people is there's going to be an adjustment period. This is a different type of shirt than like the undershirts you're used to wearing. It's going to feel different because it is different. Like you have like other shirts don't have extra material designed in the arm. And the way that it's designed, at least to me, and I think to a couple other people, the feedback I've received is that initially they feel a little bit warm because this material under the arm, like this is a this is a key part of your lymphatic system and your kind of heat exchanger with the rest of the world, and you're changing how it's able to interact with the environment around it. And a lot of people feel a little bit of a warm sensation when the first couple of days that they put it on. So I always tell people it's going to feel different because it's a different type of shirt. So just be ready for it to be a little different. Um, and I usually tell people too that there's an adjustment period. Usually 3 or 4 days or a week. You might feel a little warm. You might have different body temperature regulation stuff going on. But stick with it. and you'll adapt. Like stick with it. You'll go through that. It'll become your new normal, and then, at least for me, the pros massively outweigh any cons. For me, when I get home and I peel it off, like usually actually I can tell there's stuff there. Like I can tell that maybe the shirt's like a little heavier than it was when I put it on, but my shirt is dry. And again, for me, it doesn't like that's to me that's not an ideal situation to have sweat being retained. A lot of it gets evaporated off by design, but it's inevitable that some is maintained. That's not ideal at all to me, and that's something that like I'll continue to try to iterate my design to prevent more and more of that. I think it's good where it's at now. It's not perfect, but the way I think about it is the pros massively outweigh the cons. Back to who's it designed for? Kind of my vision is that first and foremost, it's for people with hyperhidrosis. That's who like I'm most passionate about trying to help. But I also see it being a tool for public speakers, for police officers that wear uniforms and are obviously very active, or military professionals that are very active and have uniforms they want to maintain. For people like nurses that wear scrubs.
Food service, for
Food service.
sure.
Actually, I've got a call in, and I wish they would call me back. There's a huge company that does food service and uniforms that I would love to get connected with, because I feel like could just go to all their employees as
Yeah.
part of their uniform. So I do think it. But it's funny though, a lot of those people, they might have hyperhidrosis and not even realize it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's for people with hyperhidrosis, but that net isn't catching all the fish. Like there are a lot of fish out there that have hyperhidrosis that don't know that they're in that subset of people that have hyperhidrosis. But I think to answer your question, it could be applied to anyone that wants to, maintain a really good appearance, not sweat through their clothes, or they have uniforms that, are probably costly to launder.
Yeah. I agree with the point about making it for people like military men and people who want to keep their uniform clean in general too, because the next video, well, I've been working on this video for a while. It's the finances one. And I was going to mention dress shirts are so expensive. They're like for a decent quality, like one that'll last a bit. It's like $50, right? Maybe
Uh,
more.
I'm not a good person to ask about this. Mine are like $22, but I got a guy in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're like 20 to,
No, but
they're
like the retail price is between 40 and $60, easy.
yeah, and then especially the light colored ones, like you sweat into a light colored shirt one time and it's like ruined
Yeah,
forever.
yeah,
So this
exactly.
shirt's great to protect, not only to prevent the appearance of the sweat in the first place, but also to keep your shirts from getting discolored and ruined, which I could pull out like 6 of my shirts right now that are discolored and ruined.
Yeah, and they just need to go to Goodwill or in the trash.
Yeah, thank you. I'll do that after this video.
Is this gonna turn into the minimalism episode?
I love the minimalists.
Yeah,
Have you listened to their
yeah,
podcast?
yeah.
It's so good. You guys listen to the minimalists. It's really good. Correll says it, so you know it's true. So you created the Office Undershirt in about 2.5 years, you said. It was quite the process. Was that a challenging process, or what was that like for you?
It was really fun. Like, as someone that has a full-time job and several, side hustles, I get one of the things that, my coworkers or people, they ask a lot is, like, how do you do this? What's going on? I don't understand. You're so busy at work. You have all these things going on. And usually my response is, look, just try to keep it fun. If it's not fun, like, it's not going to be something that you should, like, unless you want it to be your full-time thing and you really want to go through that whole, like, the startup chasm of despair where, you're struggling, most likely you fail. And then, hopefully you start to succeed, and there's a very small chance of that, about like a 10 to 15% chance that you'll actually have a viable business afterwards. Um, it's got to be fun. So no, it wasn't a struggle really at all. The product design process was really, really fun. Um, but I think the main reason why is because I was solving something for myself first and foremost. I didn't have like big dollar signs in my eyes, and the business isn't profitable at all, right? At all. Because a lot of what I'm doing is meeting people like you, and I'm saying, hey, I'm a weird guy online. Can I send you a shirt, please? Or a lot of the people that I engage with, you know, I don't know. I don't think they're pulling my leg or selling me a story, but a lot of them say, "Hey, I'm really not in a financial position where I can afford a $30 shirt. Can you help me out?" And I go, "Yes, of course. What do you need?" So at this stage, to me, the most important thing is just awareness. Generating awareness. My belief is that will all come back around and create, my goal is that this does become a long-term sustainable business, but I'm in the foundation laying stage right now. Even after 2.5 years, I still very much feel like it's foundation. And because I don't have, some irrational desire that this is going to be a instant out of the park home run, it's easy for me to keep my expectations low, take a lot of joy in all the messages that I get saying, "Oh my gosh, you've totally changed my dating life," or "Oh my gosh, you've totally changed my work life," or whatever the impact is. I get a decent amount of messages like that. So the feedback I'm getting, my very tempered expectations, and just keeping focused on kind of where I'm at and what my goals are right now. It's foundation. The most important thing for me is making relationships and creating awareness. It's not making $1 million. That allows me to keep it all very fun. And just enjoy the journey, as cliche as that is.
I know what you mean because I feel the same way with my YouTube channel. I'm just here to spread awareness and have a good time. And the most rewarding part of it is hearing from people like my subscribers or customers that have bought your shirt. It's
Yeah.
so nice to hear that we are actually making a difference. And I feel like that's what really makes the whole thing it makes it worth the hard times and the struggle and everything once we hear, oh, even if I just helped one person, it was worth all of that elbow grease.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I know you probably love everything about the shirt since you made it, but if you had to choose one thing, what's your favorite thing about the Office Undershirt?
That's a good question. Um, I don't sweat through my dress shirts like that. It just works for me. I think that's it. That's probably my favorite thing. I put it on. I just know that, okay, the rest of my day, it's going to be fine. I just don't think about it until I get home and I take it off. It's just, it just works. And it's just part of my everyday routine.
So, do you sweat just from your armpits? Sorry if this is personal.
No, it's fine. No, I think my hands are the other one, and I don't want to be selfish with my product design, but if unless I'm designing it for myself, like it seems like it's much harder for me to get enthusiastic about the design process unless I
Yeah.
know it's going to work for me first, and I can actually like legitimately check the box and say I'm satisfied with this. So actually, the next product I'm designing is something I'm calling a sweat swipe. I'm at the very early stages of like building a core group of people to test that out now, because that's like the next thing I want to tackle. Um, and that the idea is that it could be used for hands. It's kind of like a hyperhidrosis handkerchief, basically. It's made from a material that has like some antimicrobial material, but also some hyperabsorbent supercolloidals that like you could use it for your face or your neck or your hands and then throw it back in your pocket. It's not going to get nasty, and then you can just throw it in the wash and launder it. Um, so those are the two main areas for me. I would say that I'm fortunate that the axillary hyperhidrosis is what I'm most affected by, and that's why I started with the shirts.
Yeah. Well, all of the areas of the body come with their own negatives, that's for sure. And I am so looking forward to trying the sweat swipe because I'm literally sitting here like grabbing my pants. And I wish I had a sweat swipe to grab instead.
So let me ask you, my thinking, and if I'm getting too far off the rails here, pull me back in. But my thinking is people will keep this in their pocket, and they might just pull it out and like kind of just like this is what I would do. I would just mess with it, and I would like do this, and I would get, and when I felt like I needed to put it back in my pocket, I just put it back in my pocket. But it's probably something I would like just keep in my hands like a fair amount if I'm at my computer or I'm on a conference call. I might just play with it because my hands when I'm just sitting there kind of start to feel a little bit funky.
Oh, I would totally do that too. And like sometimes like at a social function, I'll like bring an extra jacket just to have it to like dry my hands on.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, and I think I always see stuff about the handshaking before job interviews or meeting their in-laws or whatever the
Right.
case may be. The sweat swipe will be great to have it, well, from the sounds of it, to have in their pocket and they can dry their hand off before they go in for that dreaded handshake. And
Right.
at least, and that way, like it might not dry it completely, like as with anything, because the sweat comes back so fast. But at least it like brings it down to that level of like normal clamminess.
Yeah, for me, it's all about feeling like, am I taking it? Do I have something that I'm doing to try to make this better? Like, do I have something to try to manage it versus like, this is in an unmanaged state? Like that, to me, that's the worst feeling. Like, this is unmanaged. I don't have a management strategy. Like
Well,
that's just like the engineer in me a little bit though. Like as long as I feel like okay, I have a management strategy, it's not perfect, but it's like a step forward. Then like psychologically, I feel a lot better. Something that I'd love to comment on is like I do think I don't want to sound boastful, but I do think the approach I'm taking to product launch is maybe a little bit unique. And I would love to, if it's okay with you, invite people to participate in the
yep,
sweat swipe
go
testing team.
for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the process that I've used for launching the t-shirts and now launching the sweat swipes is this concept of forming a testing team. So, for me, I've designed, version or kind of like step one is design a product that I'm happy with. Step two is create a testing team. So a testing team is a group of people that, kind of say, hey, yes, I'm affected by this. I'm interested in using, a product that might, help me get this into a managed state. And in kind of in return for being on that testing team, they'll get either very discounted, they get some incentive. In this case, it's heavily discounted products and access to early, new launches. So the first people that will get to participate in the sweat swipe testing team are the people that have participated in the undershirt testing team or are customers that are aware of it. So, building this core group of people that say, yes, I'm impacted by this and I'd like to, participate in testing this out. And those people actually have given me a ton of feedback. So I had about 250 people that were in the very, very, very version one of the undershirt testing team.
Wow.
And, they all filled out surveys and helped me understand, like, is this working or is it not? Like, and a lot of them, gave me feedback. It works, but this aspect needs to be tweaked or this other aspect needs to be tweaked. And I was able to bake that all into my design and like hopefully have a much better product because of that. So I'm going to do the same thing with these sweat swipes where I'm going to build up a core group of people that are impacted by this. And I'll share it on the subreddit as well. And anyone that wants to join is welcome to. And those testing teams won't end. That's kind of my thinking as well. Is I always want to make it easy for people to engage with me and give them a way to get like kind of reduced pricing. And my expectations again are pretty low. Like I don't expect them to talk to me all the time or write me emails all the time. I just want to give them a way to, you know, I need to give them a way to get, in this case, like a 30% off the shirts if they're on the testing team. So it's a really significant discount. Like it makes the shirt about $20 with shipping. I think my competitors are around $36 plus shipping, or maybe they include shipping. I don't know, but it's like significantly cheaper. And I don't want them to feel like I'm like taking pity on them or anything. So I kind of give them this opportunity. Join the testing team, like have a little bit of a closer relationship with me, like be willing to like maybe answer an email or two every now and then, fill out a survey and, get a significant discount. And I feel like that's a really good way to build a relationship with, potential customers is kind of that give and take. So that's my thinking with the sweat swipes as well. Build that core group of people, get that design feedback, and they're going to receive two versions of the sweat swipe. There's one that's, I would say is very thin and malleable. And then there's another version that has a couple different composite materials in it that's a lot thicker. They might say, I like both. Or they might say, I like this one, but I don't like this one. Or maybe they'll like this one, but they don't like this one. So I want that feedback. So I'm going to send them a few products to try out, get the feedback, and then that'll inform my go-to-market strategy. Either I'll go to market with both and have just different options for people to pick from. I'm going to, get feedback on sizing, texture, durability, all the things that will inform, did I make a good product or does it stink?
Yeah, and I know I'm looking forward to trying them for sure. I can't wait. And to people watching this video, like he said, I've tried the shirt and I'm gonna try the sweat swipes. So if you want to join in on testing out these products or join the testing team to get 30% off the shirt, I definitely recommend doing it and let us know your thoughts about it. And I'll also link in my description box of this video the links you can go to for on Correll's site to join the testing team, links to the shirt, etc. So check the description box for those links.
Yeah, and apologies in advance. I'm a one-person company basically, so my website's not that good. It's a little bumpy, so sorry about that.
No, your website's actually great. It really is. It's easy to navigate. And that was something I wanted to mention is that the website, like I know it's just you, but you're so professional and organized and everything's easy to navigate on your site. It's so easy to find everything you're looking for. So I wouldn't apologize about it.
I
It's
appreciate
good.
it. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Do you have any future products or plans in the works right now?
Absolutely. So, like we've mentioned a few times already, this hyperhidrosis subreddit is full of people, and I've actually received a lot of messages from people about underwear and about socks. And I've committed to making some underwear and some socks as well. Underwear is going to be first. What people are telling me is that the current products aren't good. They aren't meeting their needs. So I've got to figure out how can I make a cost-effective version of that. I kind of think that might be what my niche is, like actually designing good products for people that suffer from hyperhidrosis and can really go through that product life cycle and validate that it's not just, a kind of a bad product. And also because I'm, like we mentioned, I'm just one person and profit isn't the most important thing to me right now. I think I can be effective making them cost effective. So hopefully I can do that with underwear and socks as well.
That's awesome to hear because I was actually gonna ask if you were planning to make some kind of form for like groin sweating. I'm sure there's a more delicate way to say it, but as my viewers know, I'm not the most.
You're
I'm
you're,
not
a,
like
you're an honest Midwesterner that tells it like it is.
exactly. But I was thinking that product for like underwear would be so awesome. And so I'm really happy to hear that. And good job, people on the subreddit, for thinking that one up because I think it's a great idea too.
Let me ask you and your viewers. Maybe you can help validate something or give me some feedback. One of actually a few of my female customers have said, "Hey, what do you think about like a one-piece undergarment? Is that a
Bodysuit.
thing?"
I was gonna actually ask you if you were planning to make a bodysuit. So like it's basically like a shirt and underwear all in one piece, and a lot of girls wear these nowadays. It just keeps everything. And like the shirt material this is made like for the ladies and the guys out there, it's nice and form fitting and it like smooths your body. It's kind of like it just smooths everything. So having like a, a bodysuit with these pads in it would be so awesome, and I would wear it 100%.
Cool. Cool. Maybe you can link me to some of your favorite like one-piece bodysuit designs that I can get a sense of like, okay, what are the ladies wearing these days when it comes to one piece, and then I can think, how can I make it, an office undershirt version?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't have the best fashion taste, but I'll send them over.
Awesome.
And any subscribers too, if you've got thoughts about Correll's undershirts or these underwear, socks, bodysuits, like chime into the discussion and let us know, let him know what you're interested in seeing, because both of us care about your thoughts and what you're looking for. So. All right, Correll, thank you so much for joining me today to do this pseudo interview type thing. It was really awesome talking to you, not only as someone who struggles with hyperhidrosis, but also as somebody who's designed this fantastic product. So I appreciate your time and it was awesome. Do you have any ways that we can all be in contact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. And Jen, thank you so much for having me. I love that you're doing this, and I think it's really inspiring. You're putting yourself out there, and that's really special, and it's awesome. So thank you so much for doing that.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
yeah,
That's so
absolutely.
nice. Thank
Uh,
you.
People are welcome to email me or message me directly. I'll give people my email address. It's Correll, Correll, at officeundershirt.com, or they can follow me on Instagram and add to my very small Instagram follower base at officeundershirt. And they're welcome to message me there as well. I'm also on Reddit, as we've mentioned several times, at officeundershirt. So you're always welcome to message me there too.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I will be in touch with you for sure.
Again,
Well, any additional comments today?
we touched on the major ones, but I think if we missed anything today, it would be great to know if people like have any pain points that we didn't touch on. Are there any, I personally don't go the medication route. I go more the materials route. So I'm really curious if there are any other pain points that people would want me to design for. That would be really, really useful feedback. Um, and if anyone's found any other approaches for having those conversations when people ask, "Hey, did you know you have something going on under your arms?" Like, I would love to know how other people will respond to that in a way that they found helpful.
Yeah, I agree. And as always, you guys, please give this video a thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you want to see my face again. And leave me a comment. Let me know how your week is going. Let me know what you thought about this video. Give us some ideas. As always, love you guys and see you soon.
Thanks, Jen.
Bye-bye.